I'm now going to start the mid-March garden tour. This is a great time to look at things with perspective, like glass half full, glass half empty. So much to do. I have other things in my life, but I try to do at least something every day. And I've done a lot. There's still a lot to do. That's okay. And there's other years. First, we have the blueberry. Since the last tour, I have posted a video, which I'll link in the description, on how I prune the blueberry. Actually, I see some new leaves where it was pruned. I've seen lots of bee action, so I know that there are blueberries that are getting pollinated and will be producing fruit over the coming months. I have the raspberries. I have done a bit of pruning here also, especially with the old stalks. Here's a leaf that needs to go, and here's a leaf that needs to go. Oh, there's a bee. And I think looking at its leaves, hi bee. Going to also, in the next day, not only get some fertilizer, even if it's just the liquid fish. He's pollinating. But also, I'm going to probably put some spray on some of the plants regarding some pests. I only use natural products that are non-carcinogenic. I've already had cancer. I don't want it again. And that's a big reason why I do this kind of gardening. This here is lilac, which can be a good pollinator, and I love it even if you can't eat it. And last month I was talking about starting to chit potatoes. Well, they fully chitted, and I planted about 42 potato plants right now. I've got Yukon Gold, which was chitted from prior years. I've got Adirondack Blue, and I also have Red Norlands. Now over here, there's not a lot of action. A lot of my other potatoes do have action. Here's one that's come out of the ground. These were the last ones planted. More lilac with lots of new growth. I've got another raspberry that's also had some pruning of old things off. The grapes, they've been pruned, and I can link to the pruning video in the description, but there's still not new growth that I can perceive on the grapes, and I don't see any green. Hopefully they've made it through winter. It can take a while to determine that. I don't see any reason why they would not have. Over here, I had separated, and there's hopefully a video on that. If not, there will be lemongrass. Every couple of years, you should separate the lemongrass. I started out with 1 or 2, ended up with 15, so they're all planted separately. There's also videos already or coming that I can link in the description, those that are here, and I can amend later. The strawberry tower has been built. I divided strawberries. That was an experiment by actually cutting crowns. Now, some of the strawberries, when I was cutting the crowns, I didn't do it to all of them, but some of them, more roots went with one half than the other. Those with not enough roots didn't really take, so I didn't really end up with less. I probably ended up with a little more than before, but I could see some that are not quite thriving as much as others. I have planted some companion plants. I see there's borage in here. There's some beets. Here are some chives. I'm going to get a spray. This is some bok choy that could use some attention. I'll take off the outer leaves that I have not harvested. This is a cut and come again plant the way I do it. However, I could see that there's been someone snacking on here, so I'll take care of that too. There's some things that's old that haven't been transferred to new. That's chive. This was a spinach, but I've been planting a lot of new ones as well. There's a tower that I have going. I took some of last year's celery. I'm planting new celery. I also have some tarragon and rosemary here, some lemongrass. Going to be some sweet potatoes. I got some slips growing that aren't ready to transfer to their permanent place, where more potatoes are coming up. And this is a Brussels sprout. And here I see a bloom coming is the snapdragons, and they seem to be a very successful plant for coming back and pollinating and being beautiful again. The last couple of nights were pretty cold. I didn't cover everything or anything, so I do see that the lemongrass did not have this darkness that I see on some of the leaves now, so I'm working on taking that off, but that just happens to be some of the outer stuff because of how cold it got. I'm sure inside it's doing great, and it didn't get to everything. Here's going to be more potatoes. I got some potatoes. They've discolored also a little from the frost the other night that I didn't cover for. And then I have some kohlrabi here that's coming up nicely. I have a kohlrabi here. They say like tennis ball size when it's like 1 to 3 inches. So I think this one is ready to harvest. You can use the leaves, for example, in a salad, but then people also peel and eat or cook the central part here. So this one I'm going to be harvesting, and I'll do a video on that. I'm still working on putting more soil into this bed. In the past, I have used old soil to make new soil. One of the components is 1/3 soil, and I've been using half old, half new, but I think I have enough of that to go around. So now for this bed and some others, I'm converting to only using old plus the other things that I add to it instead of adding new. Leave on this side of the bed, the side that's recommended, I'm going to be putting corn. That's the north side. Over here I have blackberries, and with the blackberries I did do some pruning on this one. I did not do much on this one. I'm going to have to get in there and take off some of the old stuff. The garlic is certainly grown. I've got some asparagus I've harvested. Oh, I forgot that one. I got to cut that. Okay, that's an old one that's got to get cut. And I see here's another one here. Is coming up, so that should be the next one. Got to keep an eye on those. They can grow really fast. Over here, this could be chamomile. I'm going to wait and see a bit more. And I have more chamomile to plant if not. But over there, I've got a bit of tarragon. This is just things from the past that have taken off. That'll be a future asparagus as well. Here's the elderberry, which I brought up here at least a couple of years ago, just as a little thing, a few inches, and it's certainly been taking off. And right now I'm getting some elderflowers as well. Berries will follow. Neighbor's fig has been progressing. Last month I saw leaves starting, but they have definitely been growing. I don't see figs yet. Also done a video on early pollinators, and these cross vines are wonderful. They have attracted a lot of bees, and they will also attract butterflies and other pollinators as well. Hummingbirds. The maypop vines have started, and I'm putting them up along the trellis. They're looping around nicely. I like to grow them up and across. I still have to take off some dead leaves. That is something that will really take over the trellis and give privacy and fruit. Incredibly gorgeous flowers. This side, I'm not going to be growing more maypop, so I got to certainly clear away some of the dead stuff from last year, but I've got sweet potatoes started over here. I had last month started by putting the sweet potatoes in wet dirt halfway, and they started growing the slips. Then I took slips when they had separable roots and leaves, and I put that in water for a few days to get much longer roots, and then before they would get too big so that they could still be strong for being in dirt, I have transplanted them into a pot where they can grow. I'm sticking to 12 to 18 inches tall This year, last year, I had some in 30-inch high beds, and they really took advantage of that. They did not fill all the way through, but some of them went to the bottom. That made harvesting difficult. The area gets a lot of sun, which the sweet potatoes are going to love. I can also trellis them along the fence in another video, which I can link below. I'll have more on sweet potatoes and why I trellis them. If it's not published yet, I'll link it when it is. Garlic has a lot of new growth, and hopefully it'll have a good growth year as well. I definitely see some growth and a lot of green in the stems, so I think this lilac is going to have a good year also. Here's a bunch of the insulin plant. There's some sage. There's some carrots. I'm going to water them again. They were just planted, but I have a row of the Nantes, half long. They were planted on the 14th, 10 of those. And then I have a circle of Walla Walla onions. And then in the middle, I planted a marigold. Here's a ponderosa lemon tree. The flowers did not last. I haven't had any lemons yet, but this is a growing tree. I think I'm getting close, and we have a lot of new growth as well coming. Now, a lot of the buds will fall off because the plant actually self-prunes as to what it can handle. But we will see what happens. If not this year, maybe next year. Some of the mints still growing out here. Haven't put them out in the garden yet. These are 2 lemon trees as well. Much smaller, not like that at all. Some mint. And here I have some chives, and I have more of the lemongrass that got separated. These still have to find permanent homes. And in here I've got some yellow carrots, purple carrots, Nutri-Red carrots, and chives. Now, the dragon fruit I actually had brought outside, but with some very cold nights I brought it back in. It should go out soon, but I have re-supported it. Over here I see some Malabar spinach from last year coming back up. And here's where I'm working on getting more sweet potato slips. We've got some oregano and some tarragon going on, wandering Jews and snake plants, aloe. We've got lots of pineapples, bananas with their pups. More wandering Jews. And you can see this is a working area, and I've been setting up the shelving unit. I am going to have some grow lights for some starter plants in here as well. There's also the fluorescents above, and we've been switching those to plant, and we've been taking out the covers. But for starters, I'll have them in here. Favorite gardening tools is, of course, the internet. Whether it be YouTube or Google as search engines. But I did look up when I got back about the damage with the potatoes from the frost. And actually, I'm a little surprised that they had that level of damage because it wasn't that cold. They should be fine, really, in the range that we met. But nevertheless, they don't seem fine. But the chits from the potatoes that got planted and set up these shoots, there's lots more energy in those potatoes, and they can send up more shoots probably within 10 to 14 days if these end up not making it. There'd just be a slight delay in the harvest because they have to send up some new greens in the meantime, but we will still get lots of potatoes. The mid-April update will include plum tree and olive tree additions. I've also linked in the description below all of the videos that are referenced in this mid-March update, as specific tasks were done on the varying plants.